Good evening and welcome to the show. I'm Leslie Zehr. I'm your host for Contemplating the Universe and Everything in It. This evening we have Uta Meinel, and she's going to be speaking to us about laughter yoga. Let's just see if Uta's with us. Hello, Uta. Are you there?
Hi Leslie. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Uta's going to speak to us about laughter yoga tonight. And let me just tell you a little bit about Uta. Dr. Uta Meinel was born to German parents in India and raised in the Middle East. She was trained and certified as teacher of laughter yoga by the founder of this worldwide movement, Madan Kataria, in India in 2011. Since then, she is dedicated to spreading laughter yoga in Egypt and has trained other laughter yoga facilitators. Uta is a life coach certified by the Coaching Academy in London and holds a certificate as a coach for self-esteem elevation for children from the Center for Personal Reinvention in the USA. She studied Eastern wisdom traditions and philosophies for more than 30 years and practiced various forms of yoga and meditation. Uta offers deep relaxation techniques and is a certified practitioner of many holistic therapies, including Reiki, vortex healing, facial harmony, and divine empowerment. She organizes wellness retreats for women and is passionate about assisting her clients to lighten up and thrive. Uta obtained her PhD in political science from the Freie Universität in Berlin and began her career in a news agency as a journalist. She's worked for several major organizations in the area of development as consultant for organizational development, capacity building, and communication. Uta's lived in Egypt since 2000 and speaks colloquial Arabic fluently. And Uta and I have known each other, I don't even know how long we've known each other, but it seems like it's been a really long time. Maybe it's been since 2000, I don't think so, but we've done a lot of different kinds of things together, so our paths keep crossing. So Uta, tonight you're going to speak to us about laughter yoga and perhaps some other things. So maybe we should just start by, maybe you can explain to us a little bit about laughter yoga. What exactly is laughter yoga?
Laughter yoga is an exercise in which we train laugh, and that has various benefits. Mainly it releases blockages, and maybe most importantly, the only thing that I have come across in all those years that works against depression. Depression is a huge problem in the world. The World Health Organization, I think, called it the #1 killer. So many sicknesses are also related to it. And in these past years, we also see waves of depression sweeping across, which is a rather new phenomena. Therefore, I think it's a brilliant thing to do. It's just simply fun to do it.
So how is laughter yoga different, like, from other kinds of yoga?
It does not include the postures other kinds of yoga have, and that for some people, in fact, are difficult to do, look like an obstacle, especially as we get old. We have more stiffness, and so people kind of are reluctant to take up yoga because they think it lacks stability. Laughter yoga doesn't have that. It's all about ease. What it has in common with the classical yoga forms is breathing exercises, as well as the relaxation that comes at the end, known as yoga nidra, where you're kind of taught to relax from top to toe. That is something very, very pleasant at the end, because you lie on the ground and you experience deep relaxation, and you come out feeling relaxed and at the same time with a big smile on your face. A lot of people who went through illnesses or major sicknesses report miraculous shifts after yoga. And I think that is due to the fact that plain pure fun. You go into a session and you start moving, clapping your hands. It's very interactive, jumping around in the room. Keyword here is training childlike playfulness. Studies have shown that little children laugh between 3 and 4 times per day. And obviously, the older we get, we laugh, and in dark and difficult times like the ones we're in, here in Egypt and neighboring countries, there's very little left to laugh, so it becomes very rare, and it's all conditional laughter. You need somebody who's funny, who cracks a joke, and then the censorship of the brain kicks in, or if you are leaning towards being depressed or sad, that will prevent you from laughing. And in a laughter yoga session, that is just totally different. One of the secrets is that the body cannot distinguish between a real and a fake laughter. The brain knows when you make an effort and you fake it, and would tell you, well, that was silly, but the body doesn't really know it. So even if in the beginning you make an effort, you just simply smile or you go along with a lame ha ha ha, the body would not really know. And that's a great thing, because the other thing that is a secret to laughter yoga is that laughter is contagious. And miraculously, in every group I have ever led or participated in, there is always a person who has such a funny laugh that cracks everybody else up. And even if it's a small group, you do it with 3-4 people, you can bet on the fact that somebody has a hilariously funny laughter. So yes, I have seen people coming up to me after a session and saying they never thought they would ever laugh again in their lives, and wow, they did.
That's unfortunate, but no, good that they found something that they can do. So even if it starts off as something that's sort of put on or forced a little bit, you're saying that eventually they loosen up into it and become or partake in the actual enjoyment of the whole thing.
Yeah, totally. And I've had people really also challenging me, intellectuals, people who are a little bit sarcastic or cynical, standing there with crossed arms and saying, I don't think I will ever laugh. But it's just a very, very dynamic exercise. You usually start with clapping and then going into pronouncing ho, ho, ha, ha. And if you do that in a rhythm and that rhythm becomes stronger and the group does that, there's a dynamic that starts, and that's, to their own big surprise, it has always worked. I mean, people were sure in the beginning that they wouldn't laugh. Or also I had some elderly ladies coming to me whose grief process has been pretty prolonged after their husbands died, and they were very, very low in their energy and lived like this for years, and they walked up to me after a session and said, I was convinced I wouldn't laugh, and I didn't hear myself laugh in years. So this actually encouraged me very much to keep doing it, to promote it, to take it to different places, and it's just so rewarding when you see that it works with all age groups.
So how did you come to do it? Did you do a session, or you just saw that there was this training and you decided to go, or what? How did you get into it?
That's a little bit of a strange story here that shows how if we start taking steps, a lot of other unexpected things start to appear and pop up like magic. When I started my coach training in London, I sat next to a lady who told me that I reminded her very much of her sister, and she started talking about her sister and mentioned that her sister was a happiness facilitator. And I was just stunned. It was vibrating in my mind, happiness facilitator, and I took out my notebook and wrote that down in big letters, and there was this little voice in my head that said, oh, this is what I want to do too. And I asked her, what is that? What does a happiness facilitator do? And she told me that her sister was involved in these laughter yoga groups, and she built up a laughter yoga network. And apparently she was very active in London, and she went on to say that she had been giving laughter yoga courses in the BBC. And me, with my journalist background, I was just like, this is too good to be true. Bringing journalists who are really known to be very, very serious people to laugh just sounded great to me. And as I then got into the coaching and learning, and at the same time I was still working at a job, it very much went into the background of my mind, and I nearly forgot about it. And a year later, a close friend of mine posted a post on my Facebook page that was all about World Laughter Day. And again, I was very stunned and said, world laughter there. I never heard about anything like that. So I checked out the page, and that's how I came to discover the Laughter Yoga School, or School of Laughter Yoga, of Dr. Madan Kataria in India. And the main reason why I wanted to participate in the course was that a few months before that my father had passed away, and I was myself in a very deep, severe grieving period in my life, and I was longing for something that would take me out of it, and I was also longing to travel to India again and to reconnect with my birthplace, and but I just felt too vulnerable to. In that particular summer, I felt too vulnerable to travel through India alone, and I was looking for something else. And so when I saw that course, I did not hesitate to roll up for it, and it was amazing. I felt so supported by the universe, because not only did I get a flight that was much cheaper than originally booked, it was just so amazing. I booked this flight. I came up to pick it up 2 days later, and the guy told me, in the meantime, the prices fell, and he found something much cheaper. That was great. And then the organization itself offered me a discount because I flew in from Egypt, and it just felt so right. And I had
the universe was conspiring with you.
Absolutely. And still, I didn't think I would ever do this professionally. I was very identified to my serious career as a consultant, and I was developing my coaching skills, and I think that part of me thought, well, that's kind of a little bit ridiculous to become a teacher of laughter yoga. But it just so happened that not only the course was such a blast, and we had such a great time laughing out, we were literally rolling on the ground with laughter, tears running, and I mean, I've never ever in my life laughed so hard like in those days of teacher training in India. And I wanted to experience that again, and the only way to do that was to actually take it out there and offer classes. So again, something happened. I went to a retreat of a very quite well-known doctor here in Egypt who gives spiritual retreats, Dr. Magda Sirri, and she started talking about the fact that she attended a laughter yoga session in London, and that it really works, and how great it is. And she went into medically explaining that endorphins are produced and all that. And so a friend of mine who was attending the course just pointed to me and said, well, we have a certified laughter yoga teacher among us. And then I was in for it. I had to deliver my first laughter yoga session. Whether you wanted to or not. Yeah, right on the spot, like everybody insisted. And in fact, that was the first time that one of the ladies I mentioned before walked up to me, and I just had goosebumps and knew I have to continue doing this if this is what it can do. So yeah, that's how it started.
It was meant to be. That's great. So what are some of the benefits? You mentioned that the endorphins are there physical benefits as well to the action? Because it seems to me, I read somewhere that like the act of laughing, what it does to your muscles is also a very healthy exercise for you. Are there other more physical aspects to it as well? Not so much maybe the biochemical, but just the real physical aspects.
Well, it is a real workout. 10 minutes of deep belly laughter, which we do have in laughter yoga, we actually have much more, equals half an hour on a rowing machine. So it is a workout because we run around a lot in the room. That's one thing. The other thing is laughter absolutely stimulates your immune system. So if you do this on a little bit more regular basis, you give your immune system a huge boost. Also, it can prevent you from getting a heart attack. As some studies have shown that when you feel you're getting a heart attack, when it kind of gets to you, when you start laughing, you can prevent the attack from happening.
Oh, wow.
It is also very good to reduce high blood pressure. I mean, there's just really zillions of medical conditions for which laughter yoga has a very, very beneficial effect.
That why it's considered a yoga is because of the physical benefits and things like that? I'm just curious as to why it's called a form of yoga, if there's any particular...
Well, you know, it was developed by a person who is a medical doctor who researched I think in nearly every language, existing sayings that laughing 3 times a day keeps the doctor away and things like that. And found that, and he happens to be married to a yoga teacher, so they were developing this together, thinking how can we develop something that will make people laugh. So it's built on one of the central aspects of yogic breathing or yogic exercise is that the out-breath is longer than the in-breath. Why is that so important? Because our bodies are usually underfed with oxygen, and a big part of the oxygen is taken up by our brains, I think more than 80%. So any form of yogic breathing enhances your capabilities to focus and therefore to be much more effective at work. Also, the higher level of oxygen in the body is one of the things that stimulates your immune system and is just really very, very beneficial for you. Now, in laughter, you get this automatically. In yogic breathing, you would, let's say, breathe in 4 beats, hold it for a beat or 2, and breathe out 6 beats. Things like that. You need to concentrate to do that. In laughter, you can just simply forget about it because it's all ho, 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 ho. You wouldn't even realize how you breathe in. You're breathing out much more than you breathe in.
And how is this usually done? Like, do you do it mainly as classes, like weekly classes, or this is something you would do monthly? Or, I mean, it's a workshop. How much time is involved in what you do, and how often do you do it, or what would be the best thing to do?
I offer classes. The class takes an hour per average. The benefits are immediate. You don't need to take a large amount of classes in order to feel the difference. So that's another thing that is very attractive about it. Some studies have also shown that if you do that, let's say in a company, it has so many applications, laughter yoga. That's so fantastic about it. You can do it in companies for team building. You can do it in kindergartens, in schools, in NGOs, in healthcare facilities. Wherever you do it, people have a benefit very quickly. And if, for instance, you do it in a company and you do it every month once, let's say for 3-4 months, the benefits that have been generated in terms of people bonding more, people being more lighthearted, people relating to each other in less hierarchical ways, they persist for at least another 6-7 months. So it has deep effects which carry you through for a while. You don't really need to do that on a daily basis or 3-4 times a week. It's naturally better, but you don't have to.
And you need to do it in a group, or there are things you can do at home on your own, things you take home from the course that you would do by yourself, or this is generally a group activity?
It's generally a group activity. It's much easier in a group. However, we do learn laughter yoga exercises alone. I felt very ridiculous doing them in the beginning. What then kind of helped is when I got a little dog and did this exercise in front of my puppy, and he just, looked at me and put his head to the left and put his head to the right and was very astonished, and that helped me to laugh. But yes, you need more determination to do it by yourself. Dr. Madan Kataria actually encourages people to start the day with laughing under the shower. So I found that very nice. He related to us that he gets up very early in the morning, around 4:30, when his wife is still sleeping. He doesn't want to wake her up, and he still wants to do his laughter yoga practice, so he does it in the bathroom. And he starts under the shower, and then he stands in front of the mirror and just simply laughs at himself. I think this is one of the secrets, that laughter yoga allows you to get more distance, take things less serious, and laugh more about yourself. The result is more self-confidence.
Well, it's unfortunate that we're so serious about our lives, though, that it's come to this point that people can't lighten up just a little bit. That people are so serious.
Yes.
That people need. I mean, it's great that there is a practice that people can do, but I wonder how we got so far away from having fun that we can't seem to remember how to do that on our own.
I completely agree. I think it is a big pity that we've become so serious, and not only that, bogged down. I think, especially in these times, many people in Egypt are seriously bogged down with all the chaos, all the pressure. There is not much to laugh. But at the same time, I want to mention that laughter yoga is different in that you don't depend on somebody making a joke, or somebody being funny, or you needing to have a great sense of humor to be able to laugh. It's an unconditional laughter that arises. And I guess that needs to be trained, even though we're hardwired for it. If this isn't kept up since we're small kids, it kind of gets lost. You have to recreate these neural pathways in your brain that enable you to do that. The good news is you can recreate them by doing it a few times, but we're just not conditioned for this anymore.
But maybe our expectations are too high too. When you were little, you could be silly, and like you said, now somebody has to make a joke or something that we're more critical. Some jokes are funny, some aren't, instead of just laughing at everything.
Yeah, that's one aspect, and the other aspect are cultural inhibitions that are valid especially for women in this part of the world, and even more in Asia, where laughing out loud is considered to be vulgar. So early on, little girls are taught that if ever they laugh, they should put a hand in front of their mouth and look down and just kind of giggle maximum. I mean, all these things are restrictions, really, that hinder us from expressing our natural joy.
And people have lost the art of just playing too, just being
Absolutely.
silly and just being creative. And even as children, I think that there's so many expectations. You do this with children as well, don't you? I mean, you have groups, or you're not doing it, but I mean, there is a branch of laughter yoga that's for children, or it's not.
Yeah, it's
necessary.
It's not even a particular branch. Like, for instance, one of the ladies who was part of the laughter facilitator training that I did in June has her own kindergarten, and she does it with the kids in her kindergarten. And yes, I did it once at the place of a friend, and she wants me to come back. So children respond to it exceptionally well. The only age group that is not really prone to do it are teenagers. They're too, they are inhibited because they want to be cool. They don't want to be silly at all.
So it's not very effective with them.
No. Very difficult to get them to laugh. Really difficult.
So you're also a life coach. Tell us a little bit about what you do with that, and do you incorporate the laughter yoga with it, or? Not
really, but doing laughter yoga has changed my approach to life coaching, or my style in life coaching, and I have come to understand that through my own experience with laughter yoga and my own path, that well-being is just so important for us to move forward. I mean, it is extremely important for several reasons, but life coaching is all about moving people forward. And usually what we do, because we're hardwired like this through our conditioning, is that we have these tough shoulds in our mind. I should do this, I should do that, and this is not something that is good for our motivation level. To the contrary, if the shoulds are too big, what happens is that resistance kicks in. So my approach in coaching at the very, very beginning is always to figure out with clients, what is it that you really love? What brought a smile to your face last week? What are the activities that make you happy? So it's the search for the passion in life, for the zest. Because this is what will bring the person to actually really embrace their own goals and take action towards them. So sometimes I might, some of the clients, I ask them if they're interested in self-development exercises additionally. So if it comes to that after the session, I might suggest to go for laughter yoga sessions, or even do an exercise with them that comes from laughter yoga. So it has influenced my way of how I go about coaching.
So you can kind of bring the things together. What about with the healing work? Is there any way to incorporate these things together?
Yes, because you see. Again, one of the things that feed into that is this understanding of how important it is to feel well. That is what actually a lot of people don't know, is that feeling well physically and emotionally makes you feel safe. So in these times where so many people complain from not feeling safe anymore in Egypt or in so many other parts in the world, the way to feeling safe again is to feel connected. Those of us who are on the spiritual path know that, but those who aren't, you see, what you do is just simply increase the well-being and the things that make your soul dance. So this is where the healing part comes in, because a big part of what you do in any form of energy healing session is first of all relaxing the person, and then nurturing the person on a very, very deep level. And in a way, I feel that these are the principles that apply to laughter yoga and coaching and energy healing in the same way. You release stress and you relax, and then you feel nourished from inside out.
Well, and it also seems like it would be a really good way to bring you to presence. I mean, to really bring you into the present moment, which, again, is a very grounding thing to do, because I imagine that, well, like most types of yoga, you can't really do it if your mind is elsewhere or wandering, that it must be very centering in a way, or bring you really into the present moment.
This is absolutely true, because you cannot possibly laugh about something full-heartedly and at the same time think about problems you have with your boss or with your wife or with whatever. So it totally anchors you into the present moment.
And then are there ways to use that for people who are not present? Little things that you can, little exercises you can bring them back to that would ground them or make them present, like if they were in their own, not in a group, but in a situation that was maybe not grounding for them or causing them anxiety. Can you use these techniques in those situations?
Yes. When I start laughter yoga classes and have people in the class who've never been there, I always go through an intense breathing exercise with them, which is basically just breathing very quickly, and then sitting very straight and clapping your hands in a way that all the fingers come together, and with a very loud voice that opens your throat energy center, say ho, ho, ha, ha, and go quicker with this. If you do this for a few minutes, your entire energy will shift.
You have to get people to do that in their offices and things.
Might be a little bit problematic to do that in an office. Yeah.
You got to create a new standard so that
yeah. That's
the coffee
true.
break and the laughter break.
Yeah.
Well, your background is in political science, and I think you worked with human rights and things as well. How does how did you make the transition from one to the other? Is there a connection, or is there a way? Do you feel there's ways to use these things in the work that you did in the past?
Yes, looking back, I see connections. For a while, while I was in the transition, I didn't really see the connection. I would say that I've always been seeking the best way for me to make a contribution to the society, but also to develop my talents. And now I can see that as a journalist, what brought me to journalism is that I love to ask questions. I love to get to know new people and ask them about things. I'm very curious as a person. And this helps me very much now in life coaching, because life coaching is all about asking the right questions and developing understanding and empathy for people. So that has helped. The other thing that I see is that I worked for many years in the realm of development, basically. And I have come to understand that a big part of the development projects that I have observed myself or read about haven't really empowered people, haven't empowered the individual. That while some of these development projects might have had really good results in many ways, the people in them, to me, didn't seem to be empowered, and I felt that is not sustainable. That is, I mean, there's so much talk about sustainable development, but if you don't empower the individual, how can a project or a program actually really be sustainable for the future? And that raised a lot of question marks for me. And here is where my being driven to coaching comes in, because I felt what is actually at the heart of change, any change, is the individual. Societies can only be changed if people change. There's this beautiful quote of Dr. Madan Kataria, who keeps saying, if you laugh, you change. If you change, the whole world changes.
But I think this is a healing path. A healing path is very individual, and I think that's the message in it generally. But most people are trying to change everybody else, and that doesn't seem to be working very well.
No, it doesn't work at all.
Personal responsibility. So do you feel that, going back to talking about development work, are there ways to incorporate these kind of things into projects that could, because yes, it's about empowerment. If you don't empower people, then any project you're doing is just kind of a surface change, I would imagine.
What is probably very obvious to many people anyway, but you know, here in Egypt also right now we have this tendency of people always expecting that the government should do everything, and that other people, as you said, should change. There's this blaming which a lot of people do, and I just came to understand that nothing around us will ever change if we don't change individually. And one great way to do that is through laughter.
Well, it's empowering. Anything that empowers you. And I think that anything that you can use, anything that's a tool that could possibly shift your state of being, is very empowering. To know that you have that.
Yeah.
Something
Absolutely.
You can use, that no, I don't have to feel down. Look, I can laugh. In a way, it's that simple, you know, that my body can change. Maybe that's a big part of it as well, is seeing how dynamic we really are. If we just make a little bit of effort, we can actually make a huge shift. You know, even if it doesn't last for days, you did it in the moment and something happened. So over a period of time, probably more things could happen. Maybe you can talk a little bit about you actually do training. You train people in laughter yoga as well, yes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
So maybe we should talk about that and tell us the things you're doing, if you're doing any classes, if you're doing any trainings.
In fact, I'm planning to do a laughter yoga retreat in the beginning of the new year. I think it's a great way to start the year. However, I haven't yet decided on the final date and the final location. So I would post that on my site and my Facebook page to make that known and create an event and so on. It hasn't been decided yet. I just did a retreat, a wellness retreat for women on a beautiful farm outside Cairo, and laughter yoga was something we did every day, and they just really loved it. And it's nice to see how people shift, when you start a retreat, and the main reason why women come is usually stress, and so that was very visible on their faces. And then when the leaving comes and everybody's just beaming and glowing and smiling, that is wonderful to see, and that I think is mainly due to the laughter yoga.
Yeah, and I'm sure having it over a period of time is probably also get a full dose of it, as opposed to maybe just a one-off class or something. Retreats, yes, I think, are nice ways to really do the work and get a little bit deeper into things.
Totally, and I also observed the difference of a retreat that has only one night or a retreat that has 2 nights. I think for us to really bond and feel safe and feel good among each other, and to develop deep connections on a soul level, we need this one extra night, and that's then on the 3rd day when people really loosen up and get relaxed and allow themselves to be silly and giggle all the time, and that's just, then it's like something breaks up and the pure essence comes out.
If you want to email her, uta@laughandthrive.com, and her website is www.laughandthrive.com, and there's also a group on Facebook. If you need to get in touch with me, my website is universaldancer.com, and that's really the best place to find links to everything else. There's a page for the webinars. If you need to email me, you can email me at info@universaldancer.com. Also, the blog is where I post everything. Generally, I make all the interviews into YouTube videos, and then they're posted on my blog, as well as usually they're on Facebook and other people's pages as well, whoever's the guest. If you need any information, you can always email me. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I just wanted to say that I hope I could, with this talk, encourage people just simply to seek more fun in their lives. That in itself will make a huge change.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank everyone for listening. Thank Uta for being with us tonight and talking to us about laughter yoga. I hope you'll pursue that and possibly try it or do a little more research on it. So I hope you'll join us next week. And until then, have a good evening, a good morning, and take care.